Your engine has 140,000 miles on it. You pull the oil fill cap and shine a light down into the valve cover. What you see looks like black cake frosting coating everything inside. Your mechanic calls it sludge. He says the only real fix is tearing the engine down for a manual cleaning. He quotes you $3,200. He says those engine flush products at the auto parts store are basically worthless. And he is right about that part. But what he does not tell you is that there is a $2 industrial solvent sitting on a shelf at any chemical supply house in Michigan that will dissolve that sludge in one 45-minute drive. It is not marketed to consumers anymore. It has not been since 1979. And the reason it disappeared has nothing to do with whether it worked. I learned about this fluid from a man named Carl Brunner, who ran an independent repair shop in Dearborn, Michigan for 41 years. Carl worked at a GM assembly plant in the late 1960s before he opened his own place. By the time I met him in 2017, he was in his 70s and about to retire. He had a 1985 Buick Regal sitting in his shop that day with 278,000 miles on the original engine. The owner had brought it in because the oil pressure light kept flickering. Carl pulled the valve cover. Inside was clean metal. Not perfect, but clean. No sludge, no varnish, just normal wear. The owner told Carl he had been doing the acetone treatment every 30,000 miles since 1991. Carl nodded and said that is why the engine is still running. Acetone, pure acetone, the same clear liquid you buy at the hardware store to clean paintbrushes. Except you do not use hardware store acetone in your engine. You use industrial-grade acetone sold in metal cans to machine shops and chemical distributors. The difference is purity. Hardware store acetone contains additives to slow evaporation and reduce fumes. Industrial acetone is 99.5% pure with no additives. That purity matters because anything you put in your oil needs to burn clean or dissolve completely. Industrial acetone does both. Here is what Carl told me, and here is what I later confirmed by digging through old shop manuals and maintenance bulletins from the 1970s. Mechanics in Detroit stumbled onto this by accident. They were not trying to invent an engine flush. They were trying to clean parts without taking engines apart. Someone, and nobody seems to remember who, poured acetone into the crankcase of a sludged-up Oldsmobile V8, let it idle for 20 minutes, then drained it. When they pulled the valve cover afterward to inspect, the sludge was gone. Not reduced. Gone. Word spread through the shop, then through other shops. By 1975, it was common practice in independent garages across the Midwest. You added 3 ounces of acetone per quart of oil, drove the car normally for about 50 miles, then did an oil change. The sludge came out with the oil. GM knew about it. They tested it internally. I know this because Carl showed me a photocopy of a document he got from a friend who worked in GM's powertrain division. The document was dated October 1978. It was titled Field Report, Acetone as Crankcase Detergent. The report described a series of tests on high-mileage vehicles with severe sludge buildup. 20 vehicles total. 10 got the acetone treatment. 10 got a commercial engine flush product that was popular at the time. The acetone group showed what the report called significant reduction in deposits with no measurable wear increase on bearings or cylinder walls. The commercial product group showed minimal deposit reduction, and 2 vehicles in that group developed oil leaks from seals that had been saturated with sludge and then partially cleaned, causing them to shrink. The report recommended against official endorsement, not because acetone did not work. The exact wording, and I am reading from the photocopy Carl gave me, was widespread adoption of this practice would reduce demand for short block replacement and decrease service interval profitability. That document never made it into any service manual. By 1979, GM dealerships were telling customers that engine flush products were either unnecessary or potentially harmful. By 1982, the acetone practice had mostly disappeared from mainstream shops. It survived in independent garages run by older mechanics who remembered. Carl was one of them. He used it on his own vehicles. He used it on customer vehicles when the situation called for it. He never advertised it. He never wrote about it. He just kept a gallon jug of industrial acetone on a shelf in the back room and used it when an engine needed help. The chemistry behind this is straightforward. Sludge is oxidized oil. When oil gets hot, stays hot, and sits for extended periods without moving, it oxidizes. The molecular chains break down and form thick, sticky polymers. Those polymers coat everything inside the engine. They clog oil passages. They insulate metal surfaces, which makes them run hotter, which creates more sludge. It is a feedback loop. Modern synthetic oils resist oxidation better than the conventional oils from the 1970s, but they still oxidize. And when they do, the result is the same black coating you see when you pull a valve cover on a neglected engine. Acetone is a solvent. Specifically, it is a ketone. It dissolves non-polar compounds, which is exactly what oxidized oil is. When you add acetone to your crankcase, it mixes with the oil and circulates through the engine. Everywhere the oil goes, the acetone goes. It reaches the sludge deposits and starts breaking them down at the molecular level. The sludge does not scrape off. It dissolves into the oil. Then, when you drain the oil, the dissolved sludge comes out with it. What remains behind is clean metal. The ratio Carl used was 3 fluid ounces of acetone per quart of oil. For a typical 5-quart oil capacity, that is 15 fluid ounces total, which is just under 2 cups. You add it to the engine after the oil is already at operating temperature. Let the engine idle for 15 minutes. Then drive normally for 45 minutes to an hour. The heat and agitation help the acetone reach every part of the engine. Then you drain everything and refill with fresh oil. The entire process takes about 90 minutes from start to finish. Carl told me he did this on hundreds of engines over his career, mostly domestic V8s, Chrysler, Ford, GM, but also Japanese 4-cylinders, German inline 6s, even a few diesels. The only engines he avoided were rotary engines and anything with aluminum internal parts that were not coated. Acetone can attack bare aluminum if the concentration is too high, but cast iron blocks with aluminum heads are fine. The aluminum in modern heads is anodized or coated. Acetone does not touch it at the concentrations you are using. Now, you might be wondering why this is not common knowledge if it works so well. The answer has 2 parts. The first part is liability. No oil company or parts manufacturer is going to recommend putting acetone in your engine, because if someone does it wrong and damages something, they get sued. It does not matter that the procedure is safe when done correctly. The legal risk is too high. The second part is profit. A bottle of commercial engine flush costs $15 to $25. It contains a blend of solvents and detergents that are significantly weaker than pure acetone, because stronger solvents might damage seals or gaskets in poorly maintained engines. The profit margin on that $15 bottle is around 70%. A gallon of industrial acetone costs $18 and treats 8 to 10 engines. There is no money in telling people to buy acetone. The other reason this disappeared is that the automotive industry shifted its entire business model in the 1980s. Planned obsolescence became the norm. Engines were designed to last through the warranty period and then develop problems that required expensive repairs or replacement. Service intervals got longer, but engines got more complex. The idea of a simple, cheap maintenance procedure that could extend engine life by 100,000 miles did not fit the business model anymore. You were supposed to trade in your car at 150,000 miles and buy a new one, not keep the same engine running for 300,000 miles. Carl retired in 2018. His shop is closed now, but before he left, he walked me through the entire procedure on my own truck, a 2006 Silverado with 162,000 miles that had been burning about a quart of oil every 2,000 miles. We did the acetone treatment on a Saturday afternoon. 15 fluid ounces in the crankcase, idle for 15 minutes, drive for an hour, drain and refill. When we pulled the valve cover a week later to check, the inside looked like a different engine. The sludge that had been caked around the valve stems was gone. The rocker arms were clean, and the oil consumption dropped to less than a quart every 5,000 miles, which is normal for an engine with that many miles on it. I want to give you the exact procedure Carl gave me, step by step, because this only works if you do it correctly. First, you need industrial-grade acetone, not hardware store acetone. You can buy it from any industrial chemical supplier. Grainger sells it. So does McMaster Carr. Look for acetone with 99% or higher purity. It comes in metal cans, usually 1 gallon or 5 gallons. A 1-gallon can costs around $18 and will treat 8 engines. Second, your engine needs to be at full operating temperature before you add the acetone. Drive the car for at least 20 minutes. Then, with the engine off, remove the oil fill cap and pour in 3 fluid ounces of acetone per quart of oil capacity. For a 5-quart system, that is 15 fluid ounces. Use a measuring cup. Do not eyeball it. Third, replace the oil fill cap, start the engine, and let it idle for 15 minutes. Do not rev it, just let it sit there at idle. The acetone is circulating and dissolving sludge during this time. Fourth, after 15 minutes of idling, drive the car normally for 45 minutes to an hour. Highway driving is fine. City driving is fine. Just drive it like you normally would. The movement and heat help the acetone reach every corner of the engine. Fifth, after driving, drain the oil immediately while the engine is still hot. You will notice the oil coming out is darker and thicker than usual. That is the dissolved sludge. Let it drain completely. Sixth, replace the oil filter and refill with fresh oil. Use whatever oil you normally use. You do not need a special oil after this treatment. Do this once every 30,000 miles if your engine has sludge buildup. Do it once every 50,000 miles if your engine is clean and you just want to keep it that way. Do not do it more often than that. Acetone is aggressive. Using it too frequently can start dissolving protective oil films on bearings, which is the opposite of what you want. There are a few engines where Carl told me not to use this method. Rotary engines, like the Mazda RX-7 or RX-8, should not get acetone. The apex seals in rotary engines are made of carbon, and acetone can damage carbon seals. High-performance engines with aftermarket coatings on internal parts should also be avoided unless you know exactly what the coating is made of. And if your engine already has oil leaks, the acetone treatment can make them worse by dissolving the sludge that was sealing the leak. Fix the leaks first, then do the treatment. Carl also told me about a mechanic he knew in Flint, Michigan, named Ed Kowalski, who ran a transmission shop in the 1980s. Ed used a similar acetone treatment for automatic transmissions with varnish buildup on the valve body. Same principle. 2 fluid ounces of acetone per quart of transmission fluid. Drive for 30 minutes, drain and refill. Ed told Carl it saved dozens of transmissions from being rebuilt. But by the mid-1990s, transmission fluid formulations had changed, and the acetone treatment stopped being necessary. Modern transmission fluids have stronger detergents built in. Engine oils do not. The document Carl showed me, the 1978 GM report, had a second page that I did not mention earlier. On that second page was a handwritten note in the margin. The note said, "Approved for internal fleet use only, not for public dissemination." That means GM knew the acetone treatment worked. They used it on their own fleet vehicles. They just chose not to tell customers about it. That decision cost you money. It cost me money. It cost everyone who has ever paid for an engine rebuild that could have been avoided with a $2 treatment. The sludge in your engine right now is not a permanent condition. It is a maintenance issue, and maintenance issues have solutions. The solution in this case has been sitting on a shelf in chemical supply warehouses for 50 years. It was never banned. It was never disproven. It was just quietly pushed aside because fixing your engine was less profitable than replacing it. If you are going to try this, and I think you should if you have sludge buildup, here is what I want you to do. First, find an industrial chemical supplier near you. Call them and ask for pure acetone, industrial grade, 99% or higher purity. Tell them you need 1 gallon. It will cost you around $18. Second, Read your owner's manual and confirm your engine's oil capacity. Most engines are between 4 to 6 quarts. Third, calculate how much acetone you need, 3 fluid ounces per quart. For a 5-quart engine, that is 15 fluid ounces, which is just under 2 cups. Fourth, follow the procedure I described. Warm the engine, add the acetone, idle for 15 minutes, drive for 45 minutes, drain and refill. Fifth, after the oil change, drive normally for the next 500 miles and check your oil level once a week. If everything looks normal, you did it correctly. If you want to see evidence that this works, pull your valve cover before you do the treatment and take a picture. Then do the treatment, drive for 1,000 miles, and pull the valve cover again. Take another picture, compare them. The difference will be obvious. Carl did this with customers who were skeptical. He would show them the before picture and the after picture side by side. Nobody ever questioned it after that. Now, before you go thinking this is some kind of miracle cure that will fix every engine problem, let me be clear about what this does and what it does not do. The acetone treatment removes sludge. That is all it does. It does not fix worn piston rings. It does not repair scored cylinder walls. It does not replace worn bearings. If your engine is burning oil because the rings are shot, acetone will not fix that. If your engine is knocking because the bearings are worn out, acetone will not fix that either. What it will do is clean out the oil passages, remove the insulating layer of sludge from internal parts, and restore proper oil flow. That can reduce oil consumption if the consumption was caused by clogged oil control rings. It can improve oil pressure if the pressure was low because of clogged passages. And it can prevent future damage by ensuring that clean oil is reaching every part of the engine that needs lubrication. Carl told me about one more thing before he retired, and this is the part that made me realize how thoroughly this knowledge had been buried. In 1981, a company in Indiana tried to commercialize the acetone treatment. They called it Motor Medic. The product was industrial acetone in a 16-ounce bottle with instructions for use. They sold it through auto parts stores in the Midwest. Within 6 months, they started getting pressure from larger chemical companies. The pressure came in the form of threatened lawsuits over safety claims and questions about whether the product needed EPA approval as a chemical additive. The Indiana company had about $40,000 in capital they could not afford to fight. They pulled the product from shelves and dissolved the business by the end of 1982. Carl had one of the original bottles. He showed it to me. The label said professional-grade crankcase cleaner and listed the active ingredient as purified acetone, 99.8%. The instructions were identical to what Carl had been doing for years. The company was not lying. The product worked. It just worked too well to survive in a market built on selling weak solutions to recurring problems. The knowledge did not completely disappear because men like Carl refused to stop using it. They taught a few younger mechanics. Those mechanics taught a few more. It stayed alive in the margins, in independent shops that were not beholden to corporate service manuals, in garages where the priority was keeping old cars running rather than selling new parts. Carl told me the last time he trained someone on the acetone treatment was in 2015. The mechanic was 28 years old. Carl made him practice the procedure on a junk engine in the back of the shop before he would let him try it on a customer's car. That mechanic is still using it today at a shop outside Detroit. What you do with this information is your decision. You can ignore it and pay $3,200 for an engine teardown the next time a mechanic tells you that sludge is killing your motor. You can try one of the commercial engine flush products and hope for marginal results. Or you can spend $18 on industrial acetone, follow the procedure I gave you, and see what happens. I am not selling you acetone. I am not selling you anything. I am telling you what worked for Carl Brunner for 40 years, what worked for Ed Kowalski in Flint, what worked for the unnamed mechanics in Detroit who discovered this by accident in the 1970s, and what worked on my own truck when I tried it in 2017. The reason you are hearing about this now is not because